Welcome back to Closing the Gap. I'm Brandice. It looks like I lost my co-host. Is that Mr. Ed? Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Wait. So today we're talking about Halloween, spooky season. Is that why you're joining me, Mr. Ed? Because we're talking about Halloween? Are you as I think I see my co-host in there. Jo'Van, come out.
Oh my gosh, my hair is flat. Hey, so it was really hot under there. Today we're discussing Halloween.
Woo!
And
he's back.
Yes. And should Christians celebrate it? So I thought we should start off by discussing the origins of Halloween.
Yes, break it down, Jo'Van.
Yeah, they don't teach us this in school, right? So when I was growing up, I always learned, my mom was like, that's a pagan holiday, but I never knew what pagan was. And I don't know if maybe she did know, but I just never got the explanation. So let's start there. So pagan, it is a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions. Early Christians used pagan to refer to non-Christians that worshipped multiple gods. Okay. And there's two characteristics of pagans: the practices of worship of the earth, natural world, and or gods, goddesses, nature spirits, and ancestral spirits. And so they tend to be polytheistic, which is worshiping multiple gods. Now, pagan rituals date back before Christianity was even established, right? So, and pagans, what their beliefs were they believed the boundary between the world, between the world and between the living and the dead became thin on October 31st.
Yes, I thought that was so interesting when I found that out.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason why they thought that is just like, well, why would they think that? Well, the end of their harvest season was the October 31st, and the beginning of winter for them was November 1st. So that for them symbolizes the end of life and the beginning of death, because with colder months becomes, dead, plants and all that stuff, right? And so because of that, they believed that this was the day that they could use to connect with spirits that they respected, loved ones and or all these different other spirits. However, they also acknowledge that this also gives the opportunity for evil spirits to lurk. And so part of the reason why they would dress up is to hide themselves from the evil spirits. That's how they approached it. So, and then once Christianity was established, the Catholics tried to adopt the pagans as Christians as well, and they took what they used as Halloween and they made it, and they started the Saints Day.
All Saints Day.
All Saints Day. And it's interesting because they, Catholics love to pay respects to the saints and also Mother Mary, and then that's where the divide between Catholics and Protestants come in, because Protestants don't acknowledge Mary as a deity like Catholics do. It's just Jesus's mother, and that's a very interesting concept, because the Protestants are the ones. Because now we're going to move to America, right? This is all going on in Europe. We get to America, and most of those people, if not all, were Protestants. So Protestants didn't acknowledge Halloween because they thought Halloween led to idolatry, because Catholics used Halloween as let's worship the saints and things like that. So it was interesting to me that Halloween would even pop up in America when it's mostly Protestants, right? But then we get into like the early 1900s, right? And Halloween is it's being commercialized, and Americans are using it as a economic vehicle, right? Basically to, I did some research. The Halloween industry last year made $8 billion. And that was during a pandemic.
I was just about to say that. Well, I guess they wear a mask.
Right. Oh, that was good. All right. But yeah, so that's the origins of Halloween. That's how it's gotten here. And it kind of shows you like where the costumes came from, where all these different things come from. So with the history in mind, should we celebrate Halloween?
It's very loaded because there's a lot more into that because it was a lot of different cultures mixed in together also. So it's one of those things you really got to know what you're getting yourself into. And it's like goes back to, I think, of like the yoga episode as far as like the intent. You might not have the intention like, oh, I think I'm just dressing up and getting candy or whatever the case may be. But it's always that deeper meaning behind it. And as Christians, you just always, always, always want to pray and know what you're getting yourself into and be careful to open yourself up to those spirits and whatever the case may be behind all of the things. So I would just say it's just pray about it and just be careful what you're opening yourself up to.
I agree. Now, what would you, if a Christian wanted to know, like, well, where's the line, right? Because we see Halloween still being celebrated by Christians, and some of it is like candy, for instance. Mm-hmm. Candy has nothing to do with the pagan origin, right? So, and actually, I was actually learning where candy came from. So, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, society was having a problem with children causing mischief on October 31st, right? And so what they started doing was they start giving kids candy as an incentive to make them stop. And then eventually that evolved in them to going door to door, and then that evolved into what we have as trick-or-treating, right? So that is specifically an American thing that has nothing to do with paganism. So when it comes to like candy, I don't see the issue with candy, and hence why I think we see trunk or treats at churches. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, what do you think?
No, definitely. I think candy itself is very innocent, and like we eat candy all the time. So no, definitely, the candy itself is not something that's evil or bad, whatever the case may be. Maybe I should tell myself so I can stop eating candy. Candy is bad, Brandice. It's very evil. Right. But no, the candy is fine. And I think a lot of churches have, and this is just my opinion, I think I discussed this with you earlier, it is a safer alternative, because just as me, like, you don't know what people are worshiping or what they have going on in their home. So like when you're like opening yourself and going to each house by house, you don't know like that. A lot of people still believe in a lot of the pagan stuff and a lot of the original origins of Halloween. So they're different things, a different spirit. So you go in the house like, oh, innocent, like you don't know what kind of curses they put over that kid. So I think churches have started the trunk or treat, so they have that alternative thing. I feel like even for kids, so they can still dress up as the Power Ranger or whatever, and have their candy and have the innocent, what we commercialized version of it.
Yeah, I mean, what you were saying, I mean, it's very serious. I'm not making light of it, but of course my mind was like imagining going to someone's house, getting like a bowl full of Snickers, not knowing there was a whole blood sacrifice.
Legit. Right, I just think, I mean, that's so extreme, but you just don't know. And that's so extreme. I know. It sounds so extra, but you just don't know. And I think that's why churches have that alternative as trunk and treat, so the kids can still have that innocent fun of like, oh, I want to be Black Panther and get my candy.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And that's the other thing. You mentioned the Black Panther thing. It's like, okay, well, what about costumes? Because yes, we can trace that back to paganism, but the intent of dressing up, it wasn't in an extravagant thing. I think they were wearing like animal hides.
Yeah, it was.
It was to hide themselves from evil spirits. So in that sense, if we want to take it there, I still don't think costumes is bad. Now, when it comes to like evil costumes, I think there can be an argument for that. It's like, okay, well, why? Are you, but I don't. Right.
What the heck?
But I don't see, because then it's like, okay, well, no, what are you celebrating? And yes, obviously for most children, it's an innocent thing, but when it comes, but I don't think there's an issue with a kid dressing up as the Red Ranger, from Power Rangers. I think that's just, it's literally it's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the intent of paganism, because that's what we always focus on, like with yoga and everything. We focus on the intent.
Yeah.
The intent wasn't, when we put on these costumes, we're worshiping what we dressed as. That wasn't the intent behind it. So that's why I feel like dressing up isn't an issue when it comes to Halloween.
Right. Guys, let us know what you think about Halloween, and do you celebrate? Do you go trick-or-treating or Halloween parties, whatever the case may be? Let us know how do you feel about Halloween in the comments. We would love to hear what you have to say. And if you haven't already, please
like and subscribe.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.
And if you don't like and subscribe, I will dress up as this horse and come to your house.
Nay.
Ooh, no, I was playing. That'd be really creepy.
Creepus.
See y'all next time.
Bye.
And that made me take it off. I'm like, ooh, you know what? Since we're talking about Halloween and costumes, let's get into history.
Did you say nay?
I am doing that. I am doing that. That is genius.
What? Of all the things she suggested, that?
Yes.
Nay. Listen, I'm all down for extraness, but that was not one I would have done.
Brandice. Oh, so you did, Shay.
I draw the line at nay.